Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the VectoScalar Tech Talk show. I'm sure you have enjoyed our previous episodes as well. In this episode, our guest speaker is Biren Parekh, who is going to cover insights about future of fintech and BFSI. Welcome, Biren, to VectoScalar Tech Talk show.
Thank you, Vikas. It was my pleasure.
Great. And before we take this conversation further for the benefit of our amazing audience, let me share you the brief about Biren Parekh. Biren Parekh is an agile leader with 20 plus years of global experience in managing complex digital transformation and implementation program across the gamut of retail and corporate banking. Currently, he is the director at Crisil Ltd. He has previously worked with global companies like Intellect Design, Barclays Bank, Oracle, and Tata Chemicals at senior management roles. He is also an angel investor and certified independent director. He has authored a book on supercharge your project management skills that culminates his personal experiences in project management. He has been entitled various accolades, including Next 100 CIO, winner by Thinkers 360, and Top Voice APAC 23 and PMI champion. He is also a keynote speaker at various nationals and international conference. So here come Biren Parekh for you. Biren, it's such an amazing journey. You have done so many things during this amazing tenure of close to 30 years. But as we talk about fintech, what is actually fintech? And can you give us some examples so people who are just joining probably for the first time can understand this term better?
Sure, Vikas. Thanks. So fintech is basically a word acronym which has been created by combining two words, financial technology. Okay, so that is how it is called fintech. The primary objective, or I'll say the aim of fintech, is to use the technology to service the financial industry. Okay, so it basically means that now you are serving the industry using technology which is now at the cutting edge and which helps you to serve the customer better and maybe efficiently. So that is, I'll say, a fintech. There are
Okay.
several companies, or there are
Yeah.
several companies which are, as I can call it, fintech. And I think the most prominent, which all of us will know, is one of them is a Paytm. Okay, so
Yes.
Paytm actually started as a fintech, as a small company, and then, as we all know, how it has grown up to the current level, right? So Paytm is one of the example of fintech, and similarly, PhonePe is also again a sort of a fintech kind of a app or a thing, which helps customer to utilize the benefits of technology.
Okay. And what is the expansion of the term BFSI when we
BFSI means banking and financial services industry. So anything related to finance. So it normally encompasses the banking, then it includes the insurance, it also includes payments and the regulatory technology. So this all combines actually BFSI. It's termed as a BFSI industry.
Okay. Okay. So how does it all work? Like, how does what is the main aim of fintech and how does it work?
Sure, that's a good question. So basically, banks, as we all know, they are the huge entity. They have hundreds of branch and they have a huge number of staff and they have hundreds of applications. So banks are not that much, I'll say, innovative. And they are not able to keep the pace with the demands of the customer. And that is where the startups or kind of a fintech started their journeys, and they started innovating the solutions which customer demands. And that is how, because fintech being a small company, being a small startups, they are able to quickly deliver the solution in very short time period and in very efficiently and by using the latest technology. So that is how fintech started, and that is where fintech started complementing some of the banks' requirements or banks' customers' requirement.
Okay. Okay. So just for the benefit of our audience, could you name some prominent? You talked about some prominent companies from India, like Paytm and PhonePe. And what about the bigger companies in the world?
Okay, so if I name bigger companies, you will say that, oh, it can't be a fintech actually. So like Visa also started like a fintech. Okay, PayPal we all know, right? Many of us
Yeah.
have used it. I mean, and it is a global entity. So that also started as a fintech only, fintech startup, and slowly that turned into a huge payments company. Similarly, Ripple is again another company. Stripe, which is again a global company, and it has a very big, a huge valuation. So there are several such companies which are there, which has actually become so big that now we can't believe that at one point of time they started as a fintech company or maybe a small company.
Okay. So, just curious. So, as you mentioned that we are talking about the private companies which are providing the financial services, but aren't we including the technology used by banks also? Because banks are also using the technology. But so, don't we consider it as under the umbrella of fintech? Just curious.
No, your question is good actually. That's correct actually. Banks are also using the technology and they are also innovating the solution. But as I said, the speed of the innovation of the banks is a little bit slow. Why? Because they have to go through a lot of regulatory hurdles. They have to also go through whatever central banks, they have to adhere to central bank norms and regulations. And it takes time before they can roll it out to the larger set of customers. And normally,
Okay.
banks, as we all know, they are having lakhs and millions of customers. Okay, so if they launch something which is not up to the mark, okay, or if there are any glitches in that solution, technology solution, then it will impact a large number of customer and obviously it will hurt their reputation. And because of that, banks are very cautious, they are very risk averse, and they try to see that now everything is perfectly fine and perfectly working. Whereas fintech, they are starting from scratch. They don't have any baggage. Okay, so what they do is that they try to develop a solution, do quick prototype, they get a feedback, they fine tune it, and they keep doing this until they are able to roll out to the larger set of customers. And once they become sort of perfect or rather close to the perfection, people start appreciating it because it reduces the turnaround time of whatever the solutions, etc. So that is how fintech slowly becomes also a behemoth, which actually now giving the competition to a lot of banks.
Okay. So, can we say that fintech serves as a replacement of banks? Can it replace banks?
Yeah, I think I'll say yes and no both. So in some cases, fintechs are actually are neck to neck with the banks. Okay, so let's take an example of Zerodha, right? I mean, which is a
Mhm.
capital market platform, right? And
Yes.
it is now kept Zerodha and the Grow both. Okay, the Grow GROW. So yeah,
WW.
so both these fintech startups are giving a tough time to all the banks. Okay, and they have now surpassed their customer base compared to established bank like in India, HDFC or ICICI Bank. Okay, so in just no time, within 10 years, they are at such a level whereby the banks are really dredging of having competition from these guys. So while they cannot completely replace it, I mean, but the speed at which they are growing, it's amazing, and that is really making banks think over twice. Okay, and they are also trying to be as much agile and innovative as much as possible. And in this particular example, I'll tell you that now in competition to Zerodha, we have recently noticed that now HDFC Bank has also launched a similar kind of a platform the way Zerodha has, right? And it is
Okay.
called something like SkyMate or something like that. So
Okay.
basically, so banks are now trying to emulate the fintech, whereas the fintech are being innovative and trying to deliver a solution which now satisfies the customer's needs.
Okay. So, in the space of banks, as you just explained, and then there are fintech company. What is the role performed by Crisil?
Um, I think Crisil is nowhere near that. Okay, and nowhere in the sense that they are not part of any of this ecosystem. Crisil rating
Okay.
is an independent entity, and they just evaluate their customers based on the needs. So Crisil is does not play any role in the whatever banks or fintechs or whatever, right? So it is a very independent and different business.
Okay. Okay. And as we are talking about within about the fintech, that the scope is huge, and there are private players, there are companies, there are banks. So, is there any further categorization also that exists within fintech?
Yes, very much. That's a good question. So in fintech, within fintech, it's just a general terminology. The way we call it bank, right? In bank, we have maybe a PSU bank, private bank, large cap bank, or maybe a infrastructure bank, payments bank, right? So we have those kind of a categorization for the banks. Similar to that in fintech also, there are different kind of I'll say verticals or segments within that. So it is like something like digital lending. Okay, that is a particular one area which is there. Then similar to that, payments. So as I said, PayPal or something like that, it is Paytm or PhonePe. Then there are verticals which are like embedded finance. Okay, then there is something like wealth management. Then there is a capital markets like Zerodha, right? And then there are also personal finance management. So there are multiple categories within fintech, and it is a huge space. So I mean, just for information, as of 2023, at the end of 2023, there are the fintech space is worth 180 billion dollar. Okay, so that is a huge amount of money or a market cap which is there for the fintech. And there are around 30,000 startups which are globally there, who are working in each of these categories. Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like it's a huge space to work upon. While
Yeah.
we, yeah. Before moving forward, I see a question coming from Saddam Hussein. So let me pick the question. So Saddam Hussein is asking, how can fintech contribute to improving financial inclusion globally, and what challenges need to be overcome in this regard?
Uh, Very good question. Yeah, so I think fintech is helping a lot. I mean, I'll tell you multiple examples, okay, how it is helping on the financial inclusion. So our very first example is a UPI. Okay, so we know UPI payments, right? So
Yes.
that has helped people from all strata, from the all region, all I'll say small sectors, everyone are able to now utilize the uh, payment app, right? And they are able to do the transaction. So that is one thing which is like UPI has done, and obviously because of that, Google Pay and Paytm are using that infrastructure and helping to have this financial inclusion globally. Second is
Okay.
about this. Second is about like example about Zerodha, which I talked about, right? So earlier, for doing the whatever transaction in the equity market or capital market, right? So I mean, people had to have account differently and had to go to the branches and do that. Now with the Zerodha, for example, myself also, I opened the account just sitting at home. Okay, I'll just I dread going to branches or maybe going to a very remote place or whatever. I mean, now a few kilometers away from there where I'll be stuck in traffic. So I read those kind of things, and I was able to open the account just by sitting at home, right? By just uploading the documents. So the same way, the financial inclusion has helped people from the whatever tier three cities, tier four cities, or maybe even the villages also. So that way, the fintech are contributing a lot for this kind of a financial inclusion, not just in India wide but globally also. And as we all know, I mean, pre-COVID, we used to go to branch for opening the account, for doing the KYC, right? But nowadays, we don't have to go to the branches at all. Now there are several fintechs which helps you into onboarding. Okay, so they just help you to capture the whatever details required for the onboarding, and they can just open your account in just 5 minutes. So this is again a sort of a way towards financial inclusion. And India, I think we should be proud that now they are able to improve this financial inclusion to a very large extent in a very small time, very short duration, right? So
Yes.
this is what, yeah. And I think the main thing, one of the challenge which many countries are facing is regarding the mobile data, right? The 4G 5G network, right? And fortunately we are in the country which has cheapest mobile data available in the world, and that has actually triggered all this kind of inclusion. Whereas some of the other countries, developed countries, are not having this kind of I'll say cheap mobile data, and even some countries are not having the sufficient network coverage now to support this. So from that perspective, now our ecosystem has helped a lot, and one of these challenges is purely obviously to have this kind of a mobile data or mobile network. And second is obviously, since we are a sort of an English speaking country, okay, so we are able to understand to a large extent and handle this kind of a digital infrastructure or digital ecosystem. That is also helping us a lot. So these are some of the things, challenges which can be overcome, and India has fortunately taken a lead in the world to towards this financial inclusion as well as toward the digital infrastructure.
That's a very valid point because nowadays we are seeing when we are going to international conferences that
Yeah,
the placement of India and the how India at the government level, at the national level, is adopting technology is far higher than compared to any other company or the any other country. And
correct.
there are those experiences definitely when someone is with somebody from outside and they are experiencing UPI, the QR code. It's like
Right.
magic for them that at the grassroots level when they see that implementation they are amazed.
Correct. And to add to that, I'll say that now earlier the NEFT was sort of a, we felt that wow, I mean by just sitting at the home, by just doing the click and we are able to
Yeah.
transfer money within 2 hours it will reach. But NEFT is also become so much big and there are so many new options which are there, like IMPS which is there, right?
Yes.
NEFT and
Yes.
RTGS both are nowadays it's a 24/7, right? And now America is recently implementing all these things which we are having all this maybe 10 years back, right? So some of this infrastructure which India has developed, okay, has taken the lead. That has actually helped a lot, not only India but globally also. So many countries are adopting actually UPI. They are allowing to now incorporate the UPI into their ecosystem, and that is actually helping a lot.
Yeah, I see two more questions coming around artificial intelligence. So I'll take both of them together. So Bhavna Mia is asking, in what ways is AI and automation reshaping financial processes and decision making? I have another question coming from Shubham Gupta. How do you foresee artificial intelligence impacting the future of financial services, particularly in areas such as customer service, risk assessment, and fraud detection? So, what's your take on artificial intelligence? It is one of the
Yeah,
most crucial buzzword in industry
correct.
today.
Yeah, correct. I think that's a valid observation, and I think AI is a sort of a boom to the extent that now we are able to leverage a lot in the areas of financial services. So I'll tell you several ways with which we are able to take advantage of AI. So particularly fraud detection. Okay, so I'll come to fraud detection first of all. Is that AI is now able to detect quickly that whether the transaction which is happening is a fraud transaction or not. Okay, how? So what AI does is that they normally try to understand the customer's pattern of doing the transaction. Okay, so normally, say for example, if I'm doing transaction always from Mumbai, okay, or from my area only, then AI will detect that if transaction is happening, say for example, suddenly from a Chennai or happening from Delhi, then it will immediately alert the customer service and they will call you. And I think most of us would have noticed also that if you're doing sort of a abnormal transaction, then you get a call from the automated call from the bank's help
Yes.
desk or customer service, right? So that is one way. Second is that now if you're also doing a large amount of transaction, okay, I mean normally you might be doing whatever 5,000, 10,000, what are those kind of transactions or whatever amount of 1,500. But if there is a change in terms of a transaction value, then also AI immediately detects that now this person does not usually do this kind of transaction, and they immediately get, I mean, you get immediately get a call. So that is the way AI is helping in doing the fraud detection. Okay, so that is one. Second is about customer service. So yes, again, customer service has improved a lot because of the artificial intelligence. How? Because now earlier the customer service executive had to call, but now AI has made it and automation has made it to such an extent that a lot of such calls and information goes to the customer on the real-time basis and in the in automated manner. Okay, so we know several times that now we are getting this call to enter the OTP, or maybe if the OTP, if you don't have a mobile network, okay, somehow it detects that now mobile network is not there for you, then you instead get a call, right, and saying that okay, this is your OTP, right? So what is this? This is a kind of artificial intelligence and automation which is taking care of customer service, which earlier used to be, I'll say, had to be done manually or and not exactly on the real time. So it saves a huge amount of resources. It frees up the resources for taking up, I'll say, more not interesting but more intellectual work, or maybe more productive work, and that helps a lot to the customer. So it results into customer satisfaction as well as it results into a cost benefits for the banks also, and it reduces the reduced fraud detection. Yeah, so that actually helping a lot of financial service, and financial service is fortunate that they are taking a maximum advantage of artificial intelligence and automation.
Okay, I'll highlight one of the point of Bhavna Mia that she asked about decision making. So, is AI also enabling some level of decision making, or how we are designing the fintech products now?
Yes, it does to a large extent, I'll say that. So as I just mentioned that now AI does a kind of a decisioning based on the kind of a transaction which is there, or maybe at times based on
Yeah.
the location, or maybe based on your signature. Okay, so if you return a check and if it just sees a signature, then AI will or automation will just figure it out whether the signature is matching to your usual signature or not. Obviously, no, at no point of time now two signature will be same, but whatever that small deviation is there, that AI will be able to detect and will be able to say go or no go. Okay, and if there
Okay.
is a significant difference in the signature in terms of your weight of your whatever some character, or maybe font size or whatever, then AI will be able to do this. So that is one part of it. Second is about lending. Okay, so when you are going for or any kind of loans, whether it's a personal loan or whatever loan, right? So then at that point of time, after you upload the document, AI does the kind of a screening of your all the documents. Okay, it automatically pulls your information from the whatever CIBIL score or whatever score which is wherever is possible. It automatically fetches the details from your employer's thing, maybe a credit card details if credit cards are there, then it gets all these details on in automated manner, and in no time it can just flash the data to the customer service or customer executive that this looks to be the risk for this particular customer, that now like in past 1 year he has not paid, say for example 3 times. Okay, so this looks to be a sort of a medium risk kind of a thing, or if it is not defaulted at all, then it says it is a low risk customer, and I think we should go ahead whether we should increase the limit, decrease the limit. So all those things now AI and automation is shaping the this financial decision making to a huge extent, I think, which is not transparent, or which is not, I mean, we as a customer are not aware that okay what all are going behind the scenes. Okay, so that's
Yeah. Thanks, Biren, for asking that question in detail, and thanks, Bhavna, for your question. I hope your question is answered. I see another question coming from Akshika Chaudhary, who is asking, how has the COVID-19 pandemic accelerated or reshaped trends in fintech and BFSI?
Yeah, I think COVID-19 has literally triggered the digital transformation at the bank. Okay, so as I had mentioned at the beginning of my session, uh, earlier people used to go to branch for opening the account or for doing the KYC, right? But
Yeah.
now after COVID-19, banks have started doing the KYC over the video call, right? And they are also doing this, accepting all the documents in the digital manner. And they are accepting that yes, you have to you are valid customer and your KYC is done, kind of a thing. So that is one thing which has now shaped the BFSI industry, to a, I mean, to large in the sense it has just transformed it. Okay, so as I said, I mean, I have never gone to branch for now opening the account or for doing the KYC, right? I only go for very limited things where they need actually person in person. But that is one area which is transformed it. Similarly, fintech, because of that also, a lot of fintech has come up. Okay, a lot of fintech has flourished, and they took advantage of it, and they have grown like anything. So, like we know, uh, Paytm was during this, not COVID-19, but during this demonetization, the Paytm become quite popular, and now because of the COVID-19, everyone. So earlier, only limited set of people were able to do it, or limited age group of people were able to do the transaction. But because of the COVID-19, all age groups have started doing the transaction, whether it is a senior citizen or whether it is a, young kids, or maybe whatever grown-up adults, right? I mean, all people have started. So the COVID-19 has literally changed the, I'll say, BFSI segment, and everything has now become online. Everyone has accepted that yes, I mean, if you give the details online, then that will be acceptable and that can be considered as a valid thing, right? Again,
Yes.
at the same time, I mean, it's accelerated, I understood, but on the same side, a lot of cyber frauds has started happening, right? I mean, we know that now because UPI is popular, everyone is using the UPI. Now, the cyber criminals or fraudsters are sending a message saying that, okay, you click this is numbers on your mobile phone, and then actually it actually starts transferring your phone call to his phone number. Okay, so it has actually given a sort of a rise to these cyber crimes also to a large extent, and which is not good. But yeah, I mean, it is cyber criminals has taken advantage of that, and because I like now people have started doing the clicking on the SMSs or WhatsApp messages, and then it takes you to somewhere, and then now we have heard daily we are hearing the story that now people's bank account got emptied because he clicked on something, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a both pros and cons of COVID-19. But yeah, I mean, those are the areas which has translated or I will transform the industry as well.
That's a very valid point that though the acceleration has definitely happened and it has increased the acceptance level at every level, though
Right.
the cyber risk and other risk will continue to have. Now, Biren, considering your vast experience, I think when you started in fintech, then probably the tech was itself not there. Probably the banking would have been done. So, what's your experience, the evolution of banking system that you have seen? How things have changed in those last 10, 12 years?
Yeah, so I think recently the amount of innovations which are happening, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's really, I mean, I'm really amazed. And the thing is that, see, in earlier days, the acceptance of this kind of a transformation was low. Okay, so for example, like when I opened the and like 20 years back, when HDFC Bank had implemented the core banking solution for the first time, okay, and there was a net banking which was launched. So I used to do it, I mean, okay, but that time very limited number of customers were opting for net banking, okay. But now if you see any new solution which is launched by the banks, okay, so that is actually acceptance is so high that just by what by mouth, whatever. Positive feedback, people have started using or accepting the technology. So that's a vast change which I've seen that now earlier it was very difficult to have customer adopt to it, but now it is very easy that as soon as you launch some new solution, put some good words and give some kind of a reward, people start accepting the new solution. So that is a huge difference which I have noticed in last decade, I'll say that. And that's a good sign actually. Digital economy really helps.
That's a definitely a good science, and you have seen that transformation because you have
True.
seen that age, that probably that technology, that first implementation of net banking. Now, for the youth who probably asking the question in the comment box below, for most of them, imagining a banking offering without a net banking is it's hard to even imagine that how can
Imagine.
that work.
Correct, correct. So there are even I'll say more trends which will be coming up. I mean, as we all know, the Gen Z is sort of too busy in their life, and they so normally they avoid friction. Okay, so now all banks, everyone is moving towards frictionless experience. Okay, so what do we say? Frictionless experience is whereby the people don't have to come to the bank. Okay, and there are several digital banks also which are there. And for example, that digital bank is normally called a neo bank. Okay, but
Okay.
yeah, but normally these neobank are kind of digital banks or frictionless bank whereby you don't, if you want, then also you won't be able to meet anyone from the bank. Okay, because everything is over either mobile app or over the phone or in the automated manner. Okay, so that is a thing which is there. So all banks are striving for frictionless banking. That is on one side for Gen Z, but on other side, the people who are maybe in whatever late 40s, late 50s, or maybe senior citizen, they still, in India particularly I'm talking about, they still
Yeah.
trust that now they should able to see some bank, physical bank, nearby or branch nearby them. Okay, and hence banks are still opening the branches. Okay, so you see the contrast. I mean, on one side, I mean, Gen Z wants to go for frictionless banking, and on the other side, now what are senior citizens? They want to see the face. They want to feel that yes, there is a branch and there is a bank. I mean, there standing there, and I'm able to now go there, have a chit chat, and now maybe then do the transaction. So that is kind of a transformation which is there, and both ends are actually now I'll say coexisting right now in the industry. Yeah.
Yes, managing that kind of customer base, where one customer who is interested in visiting the branch more, and then
Right.
there is another who is looking for more for the digital experience.
Yeah, right. And recently only, I think just last week only I was reading somewhere, okay, that like some of the private banks are still opening so many branches. While technology has got developed so much that you don't need to visit the branch, but still they are opening the branches. So much branches are they opening. Why? Because there was a sort of a survey. Okay, there was a survey by I think Nomura or someone. Okay, big consulting firm, that now if branch is present, okay, and if that branch is present for maybe 5 to 10 years at a certain place, then people are having more confidence in putting the deposit in that branch. Okay, so that is observation. Okay, so
Okay.
what they are, some of the private banks are trying to open the branch as much as possible, continues rolling out branches, and they're trying to see that now so that they get a benefit after what a few years. Yeah,
Okay.
so that is a
That
different kind of a trend.
different trend, definitely. And I have another question coming from Saddam Hussein, who is asking, in what ways do you expect fintech companies to enhance user experience and offer more personalized financial services in the future?
Okay. Yeah, I think very interesting question. So fintech companies are striving, to see that they deliver the whatever out of world user experience, and that is the only way they can attract the customer. Okay, and in some cases, you will never realize also, but these fintech companies are so much integrated into banks or some kind of a apps. Okay, that it becomes a seamless experience. Okay, that there is a fintech behind it, you will never realize. So that is particularly area is called embedded finance. Okay,
Okay.
so that is a terminology which is called embedded finance, whereby fintech company's solution is so deeply integrated into a whatever application or the whatever chain or retail chain or whatever, that you don't realize that. And that is the beauty of it. So they are trying to see that now user experience is such that now user are able to transact more and more. So I'll give you a couple of examples, and all of us are using it also, I mean, on a day-to-day basis. Say for example, Uber, right? I mean, we are taking the Uber service day in day out, right? Everyone is
Yeah.
taking it as one ride a month or maybe a week, whatever, right? And you know that just by clicking on one button you are able to make the payment, right?
Yeah.
So that is called embedded finance, and that is a user experience. That user don't have to go somewhere and now just try to search, okay, this that kind of a thing, and then try to figure out whether now how to make the payment. So that is one thing. Second, similar to that, Amazon. Okay, so Amazon also, if you add to cart and then it says buy now. Okay, so when you say buy now, it will just make the payment. Okay, and you don't have to now maybe go through multiple steps, provided you have money in your Amazon Pay, etc. Right? So that's that. Similarly, in the Swiggy app also, if you see that there also there's this similar kind of things. So fintech companies are striving to see that they are able to deliver this ultra or whatever ultra rich experience to such an extent that now people are forced or rather compelled to use that only. They don't want to use something else. Okay, so that is the beauty of this, and this actually gives us sort of a personalized financial services, obviously. And let me tell you that personalized or hyper personalization is a sort of a trend which is coming up today also, and maybe in the down the line also, whereby if you offer certain service, okay, hyper personalized to you, saying that uh, if you have written like this, okay, oh, dear Biren, we have noticed that you recently visited so and so hotel, okay, and we are hereby offering you that now convert this at no no fees EMI, right? Then how does it feel? Then I feel that wow, I mean, I have spent the card, I have swiped the card at whatever hotel, I have spent matter 20K, 30K or whatever, and now this company is offering me sort of a no processing fee, converted to EMI. Then I feel, I mean, it is addressed personally. It mentions that how much amount you spent, where you had gone, what date you had gone. So that is actually a future of it. So the more hyper personalization is there, or actually all banks are striving for it, and the more it will be they will be able to there expand their user base, and people will feel more personal, right? I mean, if you go to the branch and someone says that, okay, branch executive says that, hello, Mr. Biren, welcome. I have not seen you since last week. Where were you? Were you traveling? No, those kind of things. If someone personally tells you, or he tells you that I have seen you so and so places, no, then you feel good, right? Because you are having this personal touch. And that is actually everyone wants to go there, okay? And that is what fintech companies are innovating the solutions, and also banks are also striving for it.
Okay, that's a very valid observation that hyper personalization financial service is probably one of the future direction for fintech company and
Right.
BFSI to grow. But having said that, probably the recent personal data protection bill that is placed, how we are going to sum up these two, because there we are talking about protection of the personal information of the, like nowadays it happens that once someone is visiting some bank or some hotel, or they may get some message, but then we also know that what do you think, that is it going to accelerate, or is there going to be some resistance on the growth of fintech with the personal data protection bill?
Um, I think it is this Personal Data Protection Act is actually good for industry as well as for the consumers, and that way, banks, fintechs, or anyone, any business will be more responsible, and they will try to protect the data. So that is good thing. From the growth perspective, yes, there can be a certain slowdown, I'll say that, but that is good actually from the consumer perspective. Okay, so I don't see that there is going to be a huge or significant impact because of this Data Protection Act in terms of now growth or whatever hyper personalization. Because anyway, if you're swiping the bank's card, right? That means you have taken the card, and while you have taken the card, you have signed the terms and conditions, right? You agree to terms and conditions to use the data to an extent that it is not leaked into the public, but it can be used to personalize the services, right? To target it to you only, right? So that way, it is already included, budgeted into it. But yes, I mean, selling data to someone else, or maybe buying data from someone else, that is anyway going to be a problem, and that is good for consumers as such, and definitely it will have an impact on the growth to some extent, but not to the large extent. Banks will be now more cautious, more ethical, and not try to stop that or avoid that.
True, true. That's a good move with country giving this kind of bill and act, so that people
Right.
can be more responsible when they are using the personal data of the people. I have
Right.
question coming from Abhishek Tripathi. How can fintech companies collaborate with traditional financial institutions to create a more integrated and innovative financial ecosystem?
Yeah, so that's a good point and good observation also. Yes, I mean, fintech are doing it. Okay, so earlier banks used to, I mean, I'll say maybe a 5, 6 years, or maybe 7, 8 years. I mean, the banks used to feel that now fintech are their competitors. Okay, and they used to maybe try to see that they are not able to grab their market share. But I think slowly over the period of time, both have realized, fintech companies as well as the financial institutions also, that they work together, they are able to now get a business from the both sides. So several fintech companies are trying to collaborate with the financial institution and trying to have a more inclusive ecosystem, and that's what we have noticed. So nowadays, if you see a lot of this CIBIL score checking or whatever now eligibility checking are being done by fintech companies. Okay, so they are, a lot of
Okay.
fintech companies are doing the front ending. Okay, so you see that now several companies will say that I'll give you the loan in 30 minutes or whatever, I'll give you loan in 1 hour kind of a thing. So what they are doing is that they are taking your data with your permission, and then they are doing all kind of due diligence checks or eligibility checks using the apis are more sort of hooks which are available from the banks or different institutions, and using those apis, fintech companies will quickly do the checks, and they will figure out that yes, you are eligible for whatever amount you requested for, or maybe whatever less or more, and then they collaborate with the financial institutions to loan to give you the money. Okay, so some of these companies are doing like now they do this front ending, they verify all these details, and then they they reach out to banks saying that, okay, now you go give a loan to this person because I have done this checks and he is good to go.
Okay.
Okay, so that is how they are collaborating and they are trying to create more inclusive financial ecosystem. And banks are also appreciating that, yes, I mean, he's doing some of my work, and let me give him also some commission, and let me also now on the whatever way, right? So that is already happening.
That's an interesting example of collaboration, because collaboration is the
Yeah,
way to go. Nobody can do
yeah.
everything. So definitely the industry collaboration is required. I have another question coming from Saddam Hussein. What do you expect from cryptocurrencies to have on traditional financial services in the future? What impact do you see?
Um, I'll say cryptocurrency was seen as a threat to some extent, not to the whatever to the countries, not their currencies. So and obviously financial services also. So there was a lot of I'll say friction, okay, among banks and fintechs and this crypto companies and all those things. But over the period of time, people have now realized two, three things. One is that cryptocurrencies fluctuation is too much and it is not that much acceptable. Okay, so that is one thing. So people are a little bit wary of maybe going for cryptocurrency. Second, lot more fraud is happening when you are using the cryptocurrency. So unless and until you are highly tech savvy, okay, you might lose the cryptocurrency, okay, or you might lose the currency which is there in the Bitcoin or whatever, Ethereum, whatever, right? So that is
Yes.
second thing people have realized, right? And third is that a lot of countries have put the ban on the cryptocurrencies or they have put the tax, okay, on the cryptocurrencies. So because of that, cryptocurrency, while it is there as a parallel financial system, okay, or trading system, but it is still not that much popular, or it's not going to have that huge impact. So nowadays cryptocurrencies, as we know, I mean, now it is in sometimes it is being used for maybe illicit purpose, or rather not for doing this dark web transactions, okay, so
Yes.
or maybe ransomware transactions. So people are slowly realizing that there is not a way we should uh, keep the money. That is one. And second is that now all the countries or several countries have launched their CBDC, that is a central bank digital currency. So considering the need of the industry to have a CBDC kind of a thing or cryptocurrency kind of a thing, many countries, many central banks have launched that CBDC. Okay, so that CBDC is also giving a sort of a, I'll say, tough time to cryptocurrencies, and hence impact is there. But I'll not say that now all the sovereign currency or now this will go for a toss. Okay, so that we have to keep in mind. But yeah, there is some impact, not large
Yeah.
impact.
There is some impact. So, Saddam, I hope your question is answered. I have 4 or 5 questions in the pipeline. Quickly, I will able to see that if I'm able to cover them all. Otherwise,
Oh,
probably we have to look for some other time. But one
okay.
question coming from Amit, that how are startups contributing to the evolution of fintech? Though we have already discussed, and what are the areas that they can focus upon? So, can you give 1 or 2 areas where startups can focus upon in fintech?
So in fintech, particularly lending is one of the area where a lot of interest are there. Okay, and
Okay.
second is about wealth management also, where there's a huge interest which is there. Okay, so they are contributing in that, and even say for example in the capital market now, like say you want to invest in particular stocks or mutual fund, then also kind of a robo advisor or AI advisor. Okay, AI robo advisors have come up. Okay, whereby again, as I mentioned earlier, with just frictionless frictionless interaction, and you can get into whatever investment or whatever you want to do it. Okay, so there are several websites whereby you just define your profile. Okay, profile in the sense you are male, female, you are what age, what is your risk appetite, what is your salary, and all those things, and it will automatically just give you a kind of a recommendation that what where you should invest, right? So
Okay.
those startups are a lot of startups are doing this, and they are really innovative startups which are there.
Okay, okay. I have another question coming from Dwadashi Jain. How might the evolution of fintech impact job roles and skills required in the financial service industry? So definitely there are existing job roles, and how the fintech is changing that space.
So fintech, as I had mentioned earlier, it is more use of a technology. Okay, so you use the technology to reduce the turnaround time for any any processes or any documentation kind of a thing. So because of that, obviously the jobs are going to be reduced. Okay, because there will be a lot of automation which will be there, or a lot of technology which will be at play, that will reduce the need for the manpower. And I think regulations are also tightening, and that is also going to have an impact on the jobs and the roles. Okay, so that is one thing which you have to keep in mind, that fintech is obviously transforming the financial services industry. Now,
Okay.
regarding skills required, okay, in the financial services industry, one is that you should be nowadays, okay, it is like no, everyone should know the technology, okay, to some extent, okay. So you cannot be just say I don't know the technology. So at times, maybe for using the mobile app also, you might need to know the technology, or maybe at a times for your some of your job roles also, you might need to know the some amount of technology. So without learning some kind of a technology, without doing some kind of a upskilling, okay, many people are going to lose the job. So that is given thing, and only
Okay.
way out is to see that you continuously do the upskill.
Okay.
Again, with chat gpt which is there, generative ai which is there, okay, which is again further started taking up a lot of manual tasks, okay, and it has started learning on its own without making mistakes and without now having a manpower associated with it, and started taking up a lot of jobs. Okay, and we see daily, we see that now a lot of layoffs are happening in the different industry, and including even the financial services industry. So best way is that you start learning the technology. So if it is a generative ai or chat gpt or whatever, copilot or whatever it is, you should know how to use those technologies. So now the need is how to leverage those technology is the critical. Okay, you don't need to be maybe fully technical, but at least you should know that, then you will be able to survive in your job, and you have to continuously, that's why you have to continuously upskill yourself to use all these tools. Okay, so that is how it is going to impact, and that is what you everyone should do to continuously learn some new technology.
Yeah, thanks, Dwardashi, for asking your question. I hope it is answered. I have a similar question coming from Kritika Rana. For someone looking to advance their career in fintech, what specific courses or educational path would you recommend? So you did talk about just the technology requirement that is there. Is there any recommended course or educational path?
um, Okay, so now when you say in fintech, I'm assuming it is a BFSI segment as such, right? So when you
Should
talk
be.
about, yeah, so when you talk about BFSI segment, I think you should take up the courses where there is some element of finance which is there. Okay, so that is one thing. Uh, Basic graduation just help you to be just literate. Okay, it does not help you to gain the job, because our curriculums are to some extent not industry friendly or not job friendly. So apart
Right.
from having those basic education, I think one should go for some of the certificate courses in the particular areas. Okay, so for banking, I understand there are some companies who are doing the courses on the teaching the banking fundamentals or banking nuances to the people. Okay, so that is one thing which you can do. Second is that obviously, if possible, you can go for this MBA finance or whatever, no, finance related post graduation. So that will also give you some edge to it. And third is that if you're already in your company, you try to explore some areas where you can use your financial whatever skills. Okay, so that way you can get a sort of a age, or maybe able to take up those kind of. Now, if
Okay.
you're just talking about purely a fintech, so fintech is, as I said, one part is a financial and second part is a technology, right? So if you are already working in the technology sector, and if you are already aware of it, then you can just go for fintech with which you want to work, and just apply for it, right? So that way you will be able to get the job, mostly provided you are expert in that. But having some age in the financial sector when you are working in the technology sector, that will be good. So I'll just give you my example. Okay, so
Yeah.
basically I am sort of a B computer. Okay, and when I did my graduation, At that point of time, I just thought, I don't know what struck, but there used to be a commerce college near my house, okay, and there is used to be a professor quarter just nearby my place, 100 meter away, and I don't know what thought struck me, but I said that okay, I want to just learn the basic accounting. Okay, and I just went to one of the professor and said that you teach me basic things. Okay, so that's where I learned about asset, liabilities, debit, credit, balance sheet, profit, loss, trial balance. So that's a very basic thing which I learned, that what is, how it is prepared, what it actually means, terminology. And let me tell you that now that helped me later. Okay, after I graduated, I was actually in one of the MIS department, but then there opportunity came in one of the this banking company, so Oracle Financial Software Services. Okay, so there I
Okay.
was for 14 years, which was earlier called iFlex Solutions, and it was earlier called CITL, CITL. So there at that one point of time, I got the opportunity for interview, and that's when I explained, talked about a little bit of accounting, and they were impressed because they were into this core banking software solution. Okay, so that helped me a bit. I mean, to to put a foot in the door, and that helped me. So I suggest that now everyone should try to learn this way something about finance if they are not into that sector in whichever way possible, and that will give them the edge when you are trying to get into the fintech industry.
Okay, that's an there are a couple of more questions, but in the interest of time, probably I'll just come towards the your core interest, because from your profile I got to know that you are a marathoner and adventurous sport enthusiast. So tell us more about your personal journey, that how come you're able to manage, and what's your interest about adventurous sport.
Okay, so basically, see, I personally believe that you should go with the flow. Okay, so when I say go with the flow, that whatever comes your way, don't give too much thought to it. Okay, just try to see how you can utilize those opportunities or how you can gain something out of it, and then try it. So that's how I got to start running marathons. Earlier I started with 10K, then 21K, and now I run 42K, and now I have aspiration for running ultra marathon, which is 50K, 70K kind of a thing. So I'm expecting that I'll be able to meet that, do that in this year, maybe next year. So that is one part of it. And again, adventure sports, I'm very high risk taker. Okay, so I mean, when I do this kind of adventure sports, it gives me the adrenaline kick actually, and that's where I started doing it, and I really enjoy it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for sharing, Biren, for all the details. For the benefit of our audience, there is a LinkedIn profile shown below, so you can definitely follow Biren Parekh for all the updates that he keep on sharing, and the interesting insight about the future of fintech and BFSI. Thanks again, Biren, for being on VectoScalar Tech Talk show.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for the opportunity, and I really enjoyed talking about all interesting questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thanks again. And audience, again, thanks to you. Next week, we'll come with another amazing speaker, and see you in the next week. And keep watching VectoScalar Tech Talk show. Bye bye.
Bye.